Pledge of Allegiance. On this day, Wednesday, November 14th, 2012, at 4 p.m., the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Chicago Park District is being held in the 8th floor boardroom of the Administration Building at 541 North Fairbanks Court, Chicago, Illinois. Will the Secretary take a roll call of the Commissioners?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Here.
Commissioner Koldeck?
Here.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Here.
Commissioner Salgado?
Here.
Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Vice President Armstrong?
Here.
President Trobert?
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that General Counsel Maria Garcia is also in attendance.
The meeting will please come to order. Is Mike Kelly in the room? Okay, let's go on to item number 2, and we'll come back to item number 1. Item number 2, approval of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting held on October 10th, 2012. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote?
Please take a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Trobert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the minutes are adopted. Next on the agenda would be the People in the Park section. Would you like to continue, sir?
Why don't we continue? People in the park section.
Okay, so I'm going to call the names of the first 3 people that have signed up to speak. We have Mark Carroll, Tony Iniquez, and Elizabeth Lennon. We ask that you please limit your comments to 2 minutes.
How you guys doing? My name is Mark Carroll, and I'm with a group called the Rowing Group. We work to promote the sport of rowing here in Chicago. I'm trying to get involved with the boathouses here in Chicago that are being built, and so the Park District folks sent me on to the park concessions management outfit, which was talking to me about different options, and I actually went with them to an interview. I talked to them about different options, and their thoughts were to put a kayaking business or vendor in that boathouse, and it's my thought after going with the guys and talking to them. What's the point of the boathouses? Is it to just provide a space for rowing, or is it to have to actually create something, an environment for these teams to flourish? So what I want to suggest is to have the vendors that are in the boathouses be vendors that prioritize rowing as their priority. So, for example, I think that these teams need to have, these boathouses and the things that are going on there should be prioritized, like, for example, using the indoor tanks and the ergs off hours when these teams aren't in these facilities. And so the priority that I think you guys should have is that each of the vendors that are in the boathouses should contribute to rowing and not just be in there to just sell and rent kayaks, but to actually go in there and prioritize these teams and so everything that they do is to contribute to the teams that are actually utilizing the space rather than just utilizing the space to rent kayaks, which has been proven before. So
30 seconds remaining.
Just to summarize, I think that the Parkinson's guys are great, but I think that they should prioritize the teams that are rowing in the boathouses and not have rowing and kayaking in the same facility, rather separate them in the respective boathouses that are being put together. So that's it. Thanks.
Tony Iniquez?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Tony Iniquez. I'm representing the Tui Park Advisory Council, which is the Tui Park located at 7348 North Paulina. I just wanted to come and give a big shout out to the Park District for all the help that we've been getting over there. We have our new security cameras in place, thanks to Mike Selega, and we had air conditioning put in, and the cages were built around them. We're probably one of the only parks on the north side that has more Shakespeare than any other park. The city of Chicago gave out a resolution to Midnight Flight Shakespeare troupe. It was presented by Ed Burke. Anyhow, I just want to thank everybody. And on the other hand, I'm here in regards to the playground. I know that it isn't the Chicago Park District's fault, but we're having a little conflict with scheduling a meeting because of our alderman who is in and out of town so much. But what I did want to find out is, are there any designs that we can look at before that meeting? We have a scheduled meeting, I think, on the 5th of December. And I wanted to see some of the designs so I can bring it before my group, which will be meeting probably later this week, and then we can work it from there. Again, with participatory budgeting starting up again, I'm probably going to be on the Parks Committee. I'll be mentoring them this time instead of being on a committee. And I'm looking forward to working with whoever you assign to give us some price quotes.
30 seconds remaining.
Or, whatever possibly you can do. Okay?
Start with Pat Lamar.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Let the record reflect that General Superintendent Michael Kelly has joined the meeting. Elizabeth Lennon.
Hello. I'm part of a two-part group that's here for Kilbourne Park. Should she
Yes, and
come up
Ms.
to
Nancy
Nancy
Benjamin.
Benjamin? Yes. Okay. My name is Elizabeth Lennon, and I'm a member of the Kilbourne Park Advisory Council. I'm here today to address the need to replace the 60-year-old fiberglass greenhouse roof with new polycarbonate panels, and additionally to request that plant sale revenues are once again returned to support programming at Kilbourne Park. The greenhouse roof leaks and filters out light necessary for plant growth. If it's raining outside, it's raining inside. The greenhouse panes consist of 60-year-old fiberglass panels which block 80% of the sunlight. Plants growing in these conditions stretch and weaken. During the growing for the annual plant sale, thousands of plants have to be carried in and out of the greenhouse on a regular basis in order to provide them the adequate light to grow. This strains staff and volunteer resources that could be better used for other purposes. In addition to the challenges created for the plant sale, the poor condition of the roof is interfering with our after-school and preschool programs. Youth plant and maintain the indoor gardens, check the worm bins, and do nature art projects. Yet on rainy days, we are challenged to find a spot where we can work without being dripped on. The greenhouse with a new roof will ensure its sustainability for the future and meet both of the needs of our educational programming and the growing of plants. Why direct plant sale revenues back to Kilbourne Park? The plant sale was started in 1996 to fund greenhouse programs. All revenues were used to purchase supplies for the greenhouse and its programs. However, at some point between 2001 and 2005, this funding was no longer directed back to Kilbourne. The plant sale budget from the
30 seconds remaining.
The plant sale budget from the 2005 The plant sale budget from the Park District that was $3,000 in 2006 has stayed the same, even though our revenues have increased from $11,000 to $27,000 and our expenses have increased. Potting soil, organic seeds, and even pots have all increased in price. We expect supplies for next year's plant sale to be close to $5,000. Friends of Kilbourne Park Organic Greenhouse have stepped up in the past 3 years to raise funds to try to cover the gap, but this is not sustainable.
You have exceeded your 2 minutes.
Okay.
No, but
Can I just say one last sentence?
I know the story.
Okay.
What we've got to do is we've got to assess the facility. I didn't know that's interesting on the revenue side. Rob Raymond's the Director of Capital and Planning in facilities, so he's the person you need to talk to. We will assess it, and what we'll do is we'll follow up with you on what it's going to cost.
What's your guess, Mike? What's it cost to put a new roof on this?
I don't want to guess. Actually, on a greenhouse. Greenhouses are expensive.
You need a good hailstorm.
I don't know if it's insured though. So.
Isn't Garfield still raising money for that?
Yeah, they are.
Yes, but I'm not sure this building's insured.
And I can tell you from the part of the board, we've taken trips out. We see what you do. We know the important part that you play in the community. We know how many kids come in there, how many teens come in there to work. So so this is important. It's worth doing, and
Thank you.
We'll see if we can get there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Because I'm Nancy Benjamin, and I'm representing the Friends of Kilbourne Park, so like another adjunct of the park itself. And I'm here to address the necessity of another staff member. As you said, you know what we do in the community, and the scant 3 to 4 years, we've increased student participation by 370%. We've quadrupled the amount of community activities. We've instituted dynamic new growing programs that bring students vivid hand-on methods and created a bit of Illinois history with the natural prairie right there on the grounds. It's really one of the little treasures and gems tucked away at Edison and Kilbourne. 200 children participate in the Kilbourne Park summer camps. 50 students participate weekly in after-school, preschool, and special needs programs. 8 community events are held at the greenhouse, serving over 1,200 families, gardeners, and community members. 35 volunteer groups are coordinated yearly to maintain and develop the surrounding gardens. And finally, the plant sale takes 3 months of planning, and the other activities have to be suspended during that time because one staff person, which is what Kilbourne has, just simply cannot stretch themselves any farther. So to sustain this ambitious programming year-round, an additional staff person really is essential for consistency and coverage. The greenhouse programs currently have only one staff. And while there's a strong volunteer base, you can't ask volunteers to do everything. And the programs are just so necessary. The children are learning true seed
30
to
seconds
plate.
remaining.
Okay. Planting seeds, tending seeds as they grow, harvesting them when they're ripe. Gardens have been shown to decrease childhood obesity, one of the big focuses in the country. In addition, we're connecting kids to nature that surrounds them in the city. Studies of University of Illinois show that in just 20 minutes in a park or greenhouse setting can improve the focus and the concentration of the youth. So we really are very, very stretched and really need this essential extra staff person.
We know the studies. We agree with you. We're entering our budget. It's tough, but I think we proved in 2012 that we could have great success, raise our registration, and we hired a lot of staff in the last 12 months. You go see Mr. Vaughn Bryant right there. See him. Wait, Vaughn.
Okay.
I think he can talk to you offline about it, but
Terrific.
we hear you.
Okay.
We hear you.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to add to that, just the work that Kirsten and everybody at Kilbourne Park is amazing. And, the fact that it's an organic greenhouse, that the transformation in that space over the last 4 or 5 years has been profound and really inspiring for the whole city. So it would be great to see, the work that you all have done, both on the volunteer end, but, within the park district replicated. I mean, it's so essential, and, all the families who are being exposed to organic food and production and how to do it, and such a nurturing environment, it's just so commendable. So.
Our last 2 speakers are George Blakemore and Leslie Recht.
Good afternoon to the commissioners that are here, to the citizens, to the staff, and to the ever-going bureaucrats. I would like to thank you again with your quarterly report indicating the race of the MBEs and WBEs, and also the percentage of contracts that they received and the amount of money that these vendors delivering service and contractors with the park district. Thank you. Transparency. I'm hoping that people from my community, the black community, will look at this quarterly report and to make improvements. Also, you have a compliance department. Even though one may perpetrate and say he owns it's the black business, he's a black vendor, he owns this business, our people need work. I'm warning that your compliance department go out to the site and see the racial makeup of those who are working on these sites, and also to
30
make
seconds
sure,
remaining.
also to make sure that these people are legal citizens of the United States working on these projects. So I challenge you. And the last thing that I would like to say, that I advocate, and many citizens in the city advocate, an independent elected Chicago Park District Board. Thank you all, and all of you have a pleasant and peaceful day. Again, we should have an elected
You have
Park
exceeded your 2
District
minutes.
Board. Thank you, young lady, for making me aware. In the future, maybe with technology, you would actually have a clock there where one could see, where it just won't be you and your distraction.
Thank you, Mr. Blackmore. Leslie Precht?
Good afternoon. My name is Leslie Recht. I work with Alderman Bob Fioretti in the 2nd Ward on schools, parks, CHA, and public policy issues. I'm here to thank the board. I think this morning you took action on 2 projects in the 2nd Ward. The first one is Rockwell Park. We've been working on that project for a long time with CHA. It's fully funded, and I just wanted to mention that this is in a very needy area. CHA is rebuilding the Rockwell housing. They have more than 300 children in their housing right now, and they've got more planned. And what I'd like to ask you to think about is getting a park supervisor in to this new park. There is a school immediately adjacent, the Grant campus, and we've had some conversations with your staff about having the intergovernmental agreement between CPS and the Park District brought into play. There is an office and some facility in the Grant campus that I think would really be important for the activities and the needs in that community. And if there's anything that we can do, obviously we'll be happy to help facilitate. And thank you. The D'Angelo Park is wonderful. It's about to open. We'd like to do whatever we can. We're helping to have a dog-friendly committee formed for the new dog-friendly area in that park, and we're very happy that it's just about to open. I should also mention, if you're not aware,
30 seconds remaining.
thank you, that we had a community build in Claremont Park, and it was very successful. We had it filmed, so there should be a CAN TV show on what was done, and we wanted to thank the Park District staff and everybody who worked on that for the beautiful new playground we have now in Claremont Park.
Thank you. Please pass that along to Alderman Fioretti.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are no more speakers.
Okay, we're going to return then to the top of the agenda, item number 1. A resolution honoring Melinda Malloy, Chicago Park District Treasurer, for her years of service. Steve Hughes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Steve Hughes, Chief Financial Officer. I have some bad news for the board. Melinda Malloy, our treasurer, has accepted a position with the Village of Wilmette as their finance director. So their gain is our loss. She's a true treasure to us. I had to use that term. She's been a trusted colleague and advisor to me, a real leader of our finance team, and she will be missed. So with that, I'll read this resolution presented by the superintendent. Whereas in January 1998, Melinda R. Malloy began her career at the Chicago Park District, and whereas Ms. Malloy first started in the budget department, holding various positions, including Special Project Coordinator, Assistant Director of Budget, and Deputy Budget Director. And whereas due to her hard work and dedication, Ms. Malloy was appointed in 2001 as the Treasurer of the Park District. And whereas in her position as Treasurer, she was responsible for overseeing and managing $300 million in cash and investments. And whereas as Treasurer, she participated in numerous bond transactions and was responsible for managing approximately $900 million in outstanding bonded debt. And whereas Ms. Malloy has instituted various best practices and policies in Treasury management, including but not limited to revising the Park District's investment policy, and whereas she has served as an appointed trustee to the Park Employees Annuity and Benefit Fund, which is responsible for over $450 million in assets, And whereas Ms. Malloy's success can be attributed to her knowledge of municipal finance and her willingness to work on behalf of the citizens of Chicago in a dedicated and professional manner, then therefore be it resolved that we, the Chicago Park District Board of Commissioners and the General Superintendent, extend our heartfelt gratitude to Melinda R. Malloy for her years of dedication and service to the Chicago Park District and to the people of the City of Chicago, and that a suitable copy of this resolution be presented to Melinda Malloy on the 14th day of November 2012, signed by Brian Traubert, President of the Board of Commissioners of the Chicago Park District, and Michael P. Kelly, General Superintendent and CEO.
So good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, my name is Melinda Malloy, and I'm no longer the treasurer for the Park District, but I have to tell you, I am very grateful for the time that I had here. It was interesting as I sat back and I listened to all these nice things that Steve had to say right now. There is a couple things that came to mind. I think the first thing is when we talk about success, I'd like to talk about some of the folks that I worked with here because they're the ones who helped us or helped myself be successful in what I do. I'm the first one to tell you that my family always comes first, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I actually met my husband here at the Park District, so that's near and dear to my heart in that way, but I have a family here as well, so I want to introduce you to some folks, especially those in the Treasury Department. I'd like Cindy Evangelisti to stand up. She is the Deputy Treasurer. Teresa Ramirez, she is the Assistant Treasurer. Both these ladies have been with me for over 10 years, for over a decade. Evelyn Gonzalez, she has been with me from the beginning. And then Topeka Drain Noble, she's new to us, she's been with us for a couple of years. These are the folks who have worked with me all these years and helped to achieve all these things that Steve enumerated. There were other folks that helped as well. So if some of the other finance people can stand up, Cecilia, why don't you stand up? She's the comptroller, and I know you guys have met her before, but again, it is a team. Alonzo, I know I saw you here, part of the team. John Gallagher, who is head of our shared financial services. Is Juliet here, our budget director? Gotcha, that's a good thing. These are some of the other folks that are part of what Steve had talked about in terms of the finance team. They are also the individuals who need to be credited for whatever success that I would take credit for. That being said, I wish you all success. Thank you for the time that you gave me. Thank you for listening to the resolutions that I brought before you, for the questions that you asked. And again, I wish you continued success. So thank you.
Okay, let me just lead off here on behalf of the commissioners. We thank you for your service, and I think we all saw, everyone in this room saw what we're going to miss, and that's your generosity of spirit. But, what a gracious thing is you're leaving to, to recognize and to cite your team, and that's what we've all noticed is that you're a great team player, and I know that whenever I saw you make a presentation here, or make a presentation to the commissioners in meetings, we're always superbly prepared. You almost always knew any question we would ask, and if you didn't, you found out the answer in short order. And you were just flat out excellent, and you'll be very missed. So I thank you for your service and wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
I'd just like to echo the president just took away what I was about to say as far as preparedness, professionalism. And you were impeccable when it came to that. I really enjoyed the, after we met, I thought I knew everything about what was going on, whether it was bond issues or money, and that's very important. And you were always very prepared and answered every question or said you would get back to us, and you did. So it is our loss, and it's a Wilmette.
It is, yes.
Wilmette's gain, so we wish you all the very best, and thank you for all your years of service here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Melinda, I'll spare you the speech I give my cowardly friends when they move to the suburbs. But I will. But I do want to thank you for when I first got on the board. You spent a lot of time with me, and I'm a reasonably sophisticated financial guy. But when it comes to government accounting standards, it's a bit mind-numbing. And the debt structures that we've gone through and the refinancings we've been through. So I really appreciate you taking the time years ago to educate me on how we do business here. And specifically the way you have done business has been exemplary, and thank you for all the years of service.
Thank you.
So I haven't seen Steve Hughes that emotional since he was bringing red ink into a third quarter revenue discussion recently. So Steve was obviously very moved. I think this room is moved by you, and it's a tribute to you that how many people are here today.
It is.
It really is.
It's moving for me.
Right. I said to you before, but when Melinda talks, it's like E.F. Hutton. We listen. And if you go back to any of our board meetings, any transcripts, there's very little dialogue. That's how much faith the organization and the corporation has in this person. A quick story is I got here about 10 years ago, and I was the parks lobbyist, and I was asked, I had to go down to see Melinda to talk about tax levies and bonds and whatnot, and she was sort of giving me a crash course in it, and my eyes were glazing over about 10 minutes into the discussion, and she was very patient through several meetings I went down there, so thank you for that. But last, just congratulations. I'm not going to talk about how bitter this is because it's not. I'm so happy for you because Wilmette tapped into your talent and they found you, and they're going to be so lucky to have you. And what I tell all park people is, because it seems like we lose good people all the time, and this is one of the best we're going to lose today. But it's a tribute to the organization. It's a tribute to the team. It's a tribute to your team. And I hope you spread the good word about what we do here. I know you will. Yes. It's not going to be easy to replace you. We all know that. But I just want to thank you. You've been dynamite, a rock, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
May I just say something quickly? One other thing that Melinda has done is we brought in a group of young girls from the inner city. And Melinda was the first one to jump in and talk to the girls. And she took an area, as Mike said, that can be very complicated, and she brought it down to their level. And what I'm going to miss, Melinda, and you have to send us at least once a year, is your chocolate coins. The girls took that, and that's how she explained what she does. So congratulations, Melinda, and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks. And just so you know, there is money still left in the bank, okay? Just
hey,
so you know.
All right, are there any further comments? We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Shalaby?
If there's a motion, I would second it. If there is a motion to accept,
Yes, there
if not, I'll
is.
make the motion.
Second.
We'll take the second and the second. Sorry. Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Trobert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the resolution is adopted.
Next on the agenda are the presentations from the departments. First, we will hear a presentation recognizing our Special Olympics team from Jerry Hennigan, Special Recreation Manager.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time today. I would like to start with my great team. I'm the Special Recreation Manager, and under my supervision our Special Olympics program, as well as our other sports and services for individuals with disabilities. So today we'd like to recognize, I also have a Miss Malloy, who's our Special Olympics administrator, no relation to Melinda, and is retiring this year after 30 years. So I'd like to give her a hand. 30 years in Special Rec, Chicago Park District. She's not going to Wilmette with Melinda. But we also have Ryan Rogers and Mike Benavente, our Special Olympics program and event facilitators. So I know there's a few commissioners that I haven't had an opportunity to speak to yet, and just to give you a little bit of the history of our Special Olympics program, Special Olympics worldwide started here in the Chicago Park District in 1968 with a Chicago Park District employee who is now Illinois Supreme Judge Ann Burke. Ann Burke. And it is now in over 180 countries. And so we're very proud that the Chicago Park District, throughout all these years, has kept supporting the program. And we are a model throughout the country. Our program here in the city, we don't just serve the athletes that are in our park programs. We serve everybody in the city of Chicago that wants to participate in Special Olympics. So our City of Chicago Special Olympics program is larger than 26 complete state programs. So it's a great endeavor. We could not do it without the support of Special Children's Charities. The program is going to be 45 years old next year, and Special Children's Charities has been raising funds for the program for 44 years. They raise everything that the programmatic expenses. Obviously, all our employees are park employees, and we have our facilities and things, but we couldn't have done it without them or continue to do it without them. So with that, Special Children's Charities not only supports the things we do locally, they support our athletes to go to state competition. And this year, some lovely athletes up here with us, they sent a team to Arizona and it went to a PGA golf tournament. So as the program grows, it gets harder and harder for some of our athletes to be selected to be on Team USA, to go to World Games. So Special Children's Charities has now offered the opportunity for some of our athletes to go. So these 3 athletes were part of a team of 14 athletes that went to Arizona 2 months ago to this PGA tournament. And Nicole Campuzano, Nicole, give us a wave. Nicole received a gold medal in individual skills. Mr. Mark Patanostro did 9-hole, and Mark received a silver. And Sean Hurley also did 9-hole golf course and received a silver medal as well. All of these 3 athletes are from Mount Greenwood Park. And right now I'd like to bring up Susan Nickel. Susan Nichols, our Executive Director from Special Children's Charities, and today we have Jason Erkes from Chicago Sport and Social Club, who has been supporting our program for 6 years in many ways. This year, too, he also went out and started reaching out to his 60,000 members to get more volunteers. As our program grows, we need more volunteers to implement the events. So we want to thank Jason for that. Big supporter with City Chase and Polar Plunge, but he has a check presentation he'd like to give to the athletes, so if you can help welcome him up.
Thank you, Jerry, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. My name is Jason Erkes. I'm president of Chicago Sport and Social Club. We're very happy to be here today to formally present the results of a fundraising effort for Special Olympics Chicago from an event we produced called City Chase. As you may or may not know, Chicago Sport and Social Club is the largest provider of adult recreational sports leagues in the country, right here in Chicago. We have over 5,000 teams of young professionals that play in our sports leagues. We're mostly recognized for our iconic beach volleyball leagues up and down North Avenue Beach and the lakefront. But we also do 15 other sports and use parks all over the city, Chicago public schools all over the city, and many, many private facilities. In addition to our sports leagues, can you hear me okay? In addition to our sports leagues, we produce several one-day events, and we do an event called City Chase. It's a reality TV show-inspired event where teams of 2 sign up. They get a CTA pass and a clue sheet and go all over the city and compete in a variety of physical, mental, and humorous challenges. They rappel down the towers at Navy Pier. They play with snakes and alligators. They do a U.S. Marine boot camp. They have to take a sample U.S. Constitution test. And one of the challenges this year was to raise $40 throughout the day for Special Olympics Chicago. We had over 2,000 people in the event and over 500 people that actually raised the minimum $40 for the challenge, one that raised as much as $1,500. So we had great results with that. We've worked with Special Olympics for 6 years as the benefactor of this event that we do, City Chase, and raised close to $200,000 for them in that six years. And I think it's important to know that we choose Special Olympics Chicago because of the similarities it has to our business. We're both Chicago-born. We both strive on a daily basis to help people achieve their personal goals, and we both promote a sense of community to everyone that is involved and all of our participants. So we're happy today to formally present this very oversized check for $36,000 that we raised this year with City Chase.
You want everybody? Yeah, no, we should stand. Let's all stand. No, you gotta come around. Yeah, gotta go.
Gotta go around.
Commissioner Lau, will you please? Thank you.
Got you up here.
Ex officio. Melinda back there?
It's warmed up a little bit.
That's all right.
About that, you showed up 4 minutes late. There's already.
You know what happened this morning? They started off calling and didn't say enough. I got hot. I thought it was That's what
She's off the clock.
I haven't started yet.
About it, huh? Still
Oh yeah, you wait.
Quit filibustering.
Be able to peel out.
Okay, next is the quarterly report from the Inspector General.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Superintendent Kelly, General Counsel. I am here today to do a presentation about the activities of the Office of Inspector General. Normally, you'll be hearing this twice a year for our annual report and semi-annually during the summer. But since the Office of Inspector General was not implemented until May, I'm taking the opportunity at this time to basically give you a 6-month overview of some of our activities. In the Office of Inspector General, we regularly meet with the President and the General Superintendent. We provide our findings and our recommendations to management. But through this presentation and through our quarterly reports, I'm able to address the full board and also to let the public know about some of our activities, because we too have to be accountable and have our activities be transparent. So what I'm going to do right now is highlight for you some of our activities, go over briefly some of our statistics, and also discuss how information comes to us and what we do with it and how management responds. One of the first reviews that I would like to highlight to you is one that involved basically a payroll review of sick and personal day accruals for non-union part-time employees. We discovered that although there was no written policy for this group of employees, which is a small portion of the employees at the Park District, they were still accruing and being paid for personal days and sick time. In about a year-and-a-half period, that group received $25,000 in benefits time actually paid to them into their checks, and had a little bit more than that in accrual. So that was about $50,000 at the time we looked into it. We brought it to management's attention. They responded very quickly. They've implemented a new policy. The accruals have stopped, and the employees have been given notice that practice is over. So that will result in an ongoing savings to the Park District. This particular investigation was an OIG initiative. It was something proactive that we did and was not in response to information that we received from either public or from management. The next case that you see up here on the screen and that I'm reporting on, it was a time of use case. This was something that actually had been reported to the OIG from management. They suspected that a particular employee was not coming to work. And in fact, we were able to validate that during a 3-month period where we did surveillances of this particular employee, he arrived to work late 16 times, and 17 times he simply didn't show up, yet he put in on his timesheets for full time for all of those days. We recommended that management discipline this particular employee, and the employee resigned. What's also very notable here is when we see something like this, the time abuse is not just the employee, it's also who's in the chain of command, who's watching the store. So what I really want to highlight here is that the manager in this case, who should have been noticing that this employee was not at his workstation all these times, that manager received a 3-day suspension. So again, it's just, we look at it all the way up and down the chain of command when we do our reporting. Fuel theft. What happens with the Park District is some employees obviously drive Park District vehicles, and we utilize City of Chicago fueling stations. And each employee who has that ability is given a fuel card. We ran an analysis of fuel card usage during a particular season and found that there were some abnormal spikes that would not be seasonally accounted for. And we began following up on that and trying to attribute who had what card, who used what car. And as you can see here, one employee, we were able to conclusively prove that he stole about $1,700 worth of gasoline. He resigned. He paid full restitution on that. Another case where we had an employee that we suspected of misappropriating the same amount of gasoline. We weren't able to actually prove or have enough evidence to prove anything on that employee because that employee's supervisor failed to keep the records needed to show who used the vehicles on those days. So what happened here is we made recommendations to strengthen the policies and also to take discipline action against the supervisor, because if it wasn't for the supervisor's failure to follow the rules, we would have been able to attribute the theft to a particular person. Management is working on this issue with the supervisor, with the discipline, and the discipline action is pending on the supervisor as we speak. Part of what we do, too, just so you know, is when the office makes a recommendation to management, we have a very robust tracking system. Management's given a 30-day date for response. We do a lot of conversations, a lot of follow-up with that. So, and that is also reported to the board, so the board watches us tracking the recommendations as well. Management is, well, and actually the third bullet point on here is something the board is going to be addressing later in the meeting today. That's the adoption of fuel card policies. Those fuel card policies were developed as a result of this investigation. One of the several issues came up as the office was started, and a lot of them involved Park District patrons and conduct of Park District patrons. Actually, I guess the word would be misbehaving at the park, disruptive behavior that didn't arise to criminal behavior where the police had to be called, but certainly was disruptive to the other park patrons, certainly disruptive or disrespectful to the employees. As a result of some of the things that had been reported to the Office of Inspector General, we recommended that management actually develop a code of conduct for park patrons to set forth what is not permissible behavior, and also to establish policies and procedures of what management would do in the event misbehavior was reported to management. This has been very highly successful. I've been in the field talking to supervisors, area managers, and they are very grateful that this code of conduct has been developed and implemented, and they thank everybody that's been involved in this process because this has given them a great tool so that they can curb the inappropriate behavior at their parks. One case that came to us, a recommendation that came to us from management, was to take an examination into the job requirements of a particular Park District employee. This Park District employee was actually a sworn peace officer for another agency and worked part-time for the Park District. His job at the Park District required that he have his full police powers in order to work here, and it was discovered, or it was suspected, that in fact he no longer had his police powers from his home agency, and in fact we were able to validate that he had been suspended from his home agency. Because he did not have police powers, he no longer fit the job description here, so he's not able to work for the Park District. But again, we took it to the next level, and because that is such an important requirement, obviously for public safety reasons, we have recommended that management develop some sort of policy or procedure to periodically check on employees who have requirements such as police powers to validate perhaps annually, semi-annually, that they in fact actually still fulfill the job requirements. This particular employee was discharged by the Park District. Another group of cases that we had involved park advisory councils, and I'm going to highlight two of them for you rather briefly. In one of them, we had a complaint from a school partner that park advisory council members were trespassing on the property, causing minor damage, and in fact, we found that that had been true. What had happened here was it was shared space with a Chicago public school, and the Park District was advisory council had not been fully informed of the parameters of the relationship, exactly who owned what property since we shared space, what they could do, what they couldn't do. So what we did was we recommended that that management sit down with the Park Advisory Council, go over their duties and responsibilities, and set limits regarding access to the property. And management, again, in this case, as well as the other ones I've described, have done that, complied, and everyone is reporting positive results and an improved relationship with the school, the Park Advisory Council, and with management. Another case here, this one actually arose where a Park Advisory Council contacted us to complain about some Park District employees, and that there was time of use, unprofessional conduct. We took a look at it and were not able to prove any of those allegations. But what we did find during the course of this is we found that there was a Park Advisory Council that was actually harassing and abusing park staff. We recommended at this point that not only should management sit down with this Park Advisory Council and go over the code of conduct, but also to develop more specific rules of conduct for park advisory councils. That is currently under development at this point. One other minor point here, and actually it's not quite so minor, is we discovered through this that members of the Park Advisory Council had actually obtained a key to our building, and we're opening the building in non-business hours and allowing the public inside the building. So we recommended, of course, to management that the locks be changed, and the locks have been changed in this particular park. So we're looking at it from obviously broad parameters and also from public safety for everyone, including employees and the public. I just want to finish up with just a few statistics here so you can see exactly what our caseload is. The office has 2 full-time employees, myself and an assistant. We have 3 part-time investigators, and we also have the services of 2 Chicago police officers. And that's who's handling these cases. As you can see here, we started out and we've really built up a caseload here in a short amount of time. A majority of our recommendations, as you can see on the next, our referrals, I'm sorry, actually come from our employees, also from us conducting some initiatives here. The hotline has been very useful. And then also just some basic information about who we're investigating. And as you can see, everybody from the top, managers, executives, contractors, as you've heard, patrons, Park Advisory Council members. So it's a very broad spectrum of the activities that we've conducted. The plan right now is to come back to you in January with a full annual report, which will contain some of the same information, and again, perhaps even a broader overview of some of our outreach activities and training that we've engaged in this year. That concludes my presentation, and I will take any questions.
Allison, this material is available. You post your reports online?
Yes, the quarterly reports are posted online, and this PowerPoint presentation will also be posted online.
And then our expectation for this type of reporting from you should be every 6 months unless there's a need to do it more.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your help and support.
Thank you.
Last is the quarterly report from the Director of Purchasing.
President Traubert, Commissioners, General Superintendent, and CEO Kelly, good afternoon. My name is Rafi Sarafian, and I'm here today to present the Department of Purchasing's third quarter 2012 MBE-WBE report. This report is a reflection of the Department of Purchasing's efforts to ensure minority and women-owned businesses have a fair opportunity to participate in Chicago Park District contracts and are included in the procurement process here. Pursuant to Chapter 11 of the Code of the Chicago Park District, some of the steps that the Department of Purchasing takes in pursuit of this commitment include: 1. Attaching the 25% MBE and 5% WBE participation requirements to specifications for contract. 2. Advertising specifications for contracts whose value exceeds $10,000 as target market solicitations. 3. Including small purchases within the Chicago Park District's target market program. And 4. Outreach efforts. This report also reflects the ongoing work of purchasing to ensure and verify the participation and utilization of MBE and WBE firms, including unannounced site visits to CPD construction sites, and 2, with either each payment or monthly utilization report, receiving copies of canceled checks from the GC to their MBE and WBE subcontractor, or waivers of liens from the MBE and WBE subcontractors to their GC. What's the result of these efforts, or how are we doing? Chapter 11 of the Code requires with each contract the expenditure of 25% of the contract value with one or more MBEs and 5% with WBEs. Through the third quarter of 2012, we are exceeding this requirement. Specifically, 27%, or approximately $61.8 million of the aggregate dollar value of contracts, measured by actual payments, managed by the Department of Purchasing, has been expended with MBEs, and 9%, or $19.5 million, with WBEs. This participation is measured over approximately 123 contract awards, 359 RFQ pool project awards, and over 4,100 small purchases. The Department of Purchasing is one part of the business side of the Chicago Park District, and it has the same responsibility of serving Chicago's communities as the other departments here. Through the inclusion of minority and women-owned businesses throughout the procurement process at the CPD, the Department of Purchasing works daily to support the Park District's efforts to build better communities throughout the city. Lastly, this report is the product of the hard work of a few people that I would like to recognize. Dee Brookins, Deputy Director of Purchasing; Louisa H., Compliance Officer; Shelley Jones, Contract Administrator; Cameron Harmon, Staff Assistant to the Chief Administrative Officer; and Kashana Franklin, Purchasing Intern. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report to you today. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Rafi, is this report online?
Yes, it's uploaded when the board secretary makes information available in advance of the board meeting.
Rafi, thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the report from the Committee on Administration. Vice President Armstrong.
The Committee on Administration met on November 14, 2012 to consider matters referred from October 11th to November 14, 2012, and hereby recommends that its report be adopted. Item number 1, amendment to Chapter 2 of the Code of the Chicago Park District. Item number 2, authorization to modify the contract for automated external defibrillators. Item number 3, omnibus authorization for the ratification and publication of existing and proposed Chicago Park District policies. That concludes the report of the Committee on Administration, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
Will the Secretary take a roll call for the adoption of the matter?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldak?
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Traubert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
The Committee on Capital Improvements met on November 14, 2012 to consider matters referred from October 11th to November 14th and hereby recommends that its report be adopted. Item number 1, authority to renew 13 leases for various parks with the City of Chicago Department of Water Management. Item 2, authority to enter into a lease or intergovernment agreement with the City of Chicago Department of Transportation for a new park. Item 3, authorization to enter into change order number 3 for the Clark Park Boathouse. Item number 4, authorization to enter into change order number 1 for Bloomingdale Park 572. Lastly, item number 5, authorization to enter into a contract for design and engineering services to Park 574. These items were adopted. That concludes the report of the Committee on Capital Improvements, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
Under unfinished business, we have 2 items being presented for consideration. At October's board meeting, the board, as well as the public, heard a presentation regarding a revenue policy. Is Alonzo Williams here? If you just, I know we heard this report in October, but we need to vote on it, and we'd like a recap on what we heard. Thanks.
Yes, sir. It is recommended, Alonzo Williams, Director of Revenue, it is recommended the Board of Commissioners adopt an overall revenue policy for the Chicago Park District. This policy will provide a comprehensive guideline relating to non-tax revenue sources received and in accordance with the mission of the district. This revenue policy provides an overall guideline and structure for determining fees and managing the other revenue sources of the Chicago Park District. They are included activity program membership fees, permit fees, facility rentals, privatized contractual revenues, corporate sponsorship and advertisement, and grants. Fees are recommended by the General Superintendent and approved by the Board of Commissioners. The fee schedules may be found in the Park District's annual appropriation ordinance. Any questions?
So moved.
Wonderful.
Second.
Will the Secretary take a roll call for the adoption of the matter?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Vice President Armstrong?
Aye.
President Trubert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
The board, as well as the public, also heard a presentation on the fiscal year 2011 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the CAFR, Popular Annual Financial Report, the PAFR, and other associated audit documents. This report can also be found on the Comptroller's page of the Chicago Park District website. What we're proving is the formal transmission of these documents. I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
No objection, will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Under new business, nothing was presented for consideration. That concludes the board meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The board meeting is now adjourned.
Okay.